right. Mr. Radio Free Mormon, how are you this fine evening?
I'm great, thank you. Every time you play that applause line, I like to think the wolf whistle is for me.
I think it is. It is for you. Folks, this is going to be a fun night. We're super grateful that all of you guys are here. Very much appreciate you tuning in. And we're not sure if this is Mormonism After Dark, if this is a special episode of Mormonism Live, but one way or another, I think it's going to be a hoot.
What do you want? Hootenanny. Welcome to the barbecue, folks.
Yeah, there's gonna be a roast tonight, that's for sure. Any thoughts from you? And otherwise, I'd let you just jump into it and sort of lead this conversation.
Okay, so we're gonna have a conversation tonight, and here's the goal. Here's how I envision this: is putting you in possession of the facts as we know them, documented as best as we can, and with the people involved in these text conversations to verify that they are authentic and when they were received and everything like that. So is this the one we add to the stage here, Bill?
Yeah, you can have that one on the stage.
By the way, I would like to bring on my esteemed co-counsel, Colby.
Cobley, I think. It's Cobley. Cobley Reddish.
Hey, gentlemen, how are you?
Just great, thank you. Your name doesn't show when you're over here. Hang on a second here. Let me remove this and see if your name now shows.
No, it'll show up right now. Look at that.
There's Cobley.
Perfect. I'm representing all Colbleys everywhere.
That is an inside joke, which will not be an inside joke for much longer. Pretty soon, we're going to take it outside and trot it around the block. All right. So I wanted Cobley on here so he can be with us as we go through the chronology. He was very helpful. We've been actually relying on lots of people. I've been looking. You've been looking. Colby's been looking. And Colby is also going to be a witness here because he was also a party to a very important text conversation that involves this case. So we've got a lot of stuff together. Bill, after everything was all together, Bill, Colby, I'm just going to say your real name, Colby, and we met by StreamYard this morning for like an hour and a half, 36 minutes, trying to make sure we have these in the right order. And by right, I mean the one that will hopefully put it chronologically in a way that you can understand what happened, because there's some ins and outs and it's a little bit complicated. So this is our very best effort to do that. Oh, you want to describe this one, Colby, because this is yours. You made this. Is that true?
Yeah, I made it with the help of my AI assistant, Argos.
Always give the computer credit. They don't like it if you don't give them credit.
Yeah. Yes. Obviously. This is a famous meme from an episode of It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia that I always think of when I think of weird conspiracy theories or connecting the dots. Weirdly, when I was creating felt puppet versions of a bunch of Mormon and ex-Mormon content creators, the same background was in the Pepe Sylvia background was in the image involving Michelle Stone. I'll just leave that without comment. But yeah, using this meme, since we're going to be connecting a lot of different disparate dots, I thought this was perfect. I even wore the same shirt, which I completely forgot until I put
wonderful.
It on.
There is a destiny that shapes our ends, rough-hewn though they may be. Is that enough about Pepe Sylvia, or is there more?
That's enough about Pepe Sylvia. It's just a joke.
By the way, I didn't wear my customary tux tonight because we're not doing the traditional Mormonism After Dark for anybody out there who might be concerned about it. I didn't want to get my tuxedo messy at the barbecue. You know how that stuff flies.
With blood.
Okay, so this starts, actually, the first thing that we're going to talk about is when it came to Bill Reel's attention and the attention of the general populace, that there was an email that had been sent. Can you tell the audience about this? This was from last Monday on the Mormon newscast, April 21st, 2025. By the way, for the record books, today's date is Friday, April 25th, 2025. But what happened last Monday, Bill?
Yeah, so Steve Pinecker, who will be joining us tonight as well, sent me a long while back, and I don't know why I didn't see it, didn't catch it, but he sent me this screenshot and said, is this you? And we'll get to that in a moment when we place it into the chronology, but just to sort of set up the episode. He sends me this screenshot and he says, is this you? And I didn't see it. Time goes by. Other things have happened. We'll lay out all that happened that was outside of my purview. But when this came to my attention, Steve engaged me in a conversation, additional conversation later, which then had me noticing, hey, wait a minute, a month ago, this thing came in. And I responded to Steve that this is not me. This is an email that portrays itself as me sending it to Steve Pinecker having a conversation, and we'll get to the substance of it as well later.
Okay, so Steve has this on his phone. He takes a screenshot of it on his phone and then
Yes.
texts it to your phone number.
Text it to me, asks if this is me. A month after he sends it is when I see it. When I see it, I notice that's not me. And I immediately let everyone out in social media know, and I let you and Rebecca know in the news group. We have a text group of content creators. I sent it there as well. Posted it on Facebook in several places, and just wanted to notify the general public that somebody was out there impersonating me and emailing at least Steve Pineker, if not other people, trying to get information in some way to compromise somebody. And I went on the newscast and showed this email and just explained to the audience, as well as again in all the groups and on social media, that somebody's out there trying to impersonate me and to be careful, because the email address, Bill Reel, MD, I suppose standing for Mormon Discussion, at gmail.com, is not my email address. I have a Bill Reel Jr. at gmail.com. I've got a Mormon Discussions podcast at gmail.com. I even have an old Real Mormon Gmail that I used to use years and years ago. But this is not my email. And that then sent this into motion.
So someone created an email address with a Gmail using your name, putting MD after it before the at gmail.com, and
Correct.
using that falsely created in your name email, sent an email to Steve Pineker, representing to Steve Pineker that he was you, Bill Reel.
Yes. Yep. And that put this whole thing into motion. And here we are tonight, going to, I think, pretty damn conclusively show where all the data leads to, and give you guys a chance to follow the paper trail with us.
Okay, so the first surprise that you're going to find out about, I think you're going to find out about this first. Let me go to the next slide. Why don't you go ahead and talk about this, Bill?
So this entire episode is going to involve Dives Lazarus, is the name that he goes by online. This is the Mormon News Roundup podcast that he is the host of. At the very minimum, this involves him because whoever emails Steve Pineker is allegedly on the warpath of Dives Lazarus. And whoever is emailing Steve is essentially inviting Steve to come onto Mormonism Live to attack Dives and to out him in multiple ways, including Facebook pages and various other things. So tonight we're just laying out who this person is, and I think most folks who are in this space have at least seen Dives Lazarus doing podcast work. So Mormon News Roundup is his podcast. There's Dives, the name. There's a picture of him. There's an about for his Mormon News Roundup website, and
we've all done episodes of Mormon News Roundup, right? All three of us.
I've been on there. RFM, have you been on Mormon News Roundup?
Yes.
Okay. So all three of us, yes. So we've all been on there. And then folks should know that who this person really is Burke Sorenson. I don't do this to dox him, but this comes into play in the story in multiple ways. One is that you'll see that he dox himself, if that term's appropriate, but he uses his own name when he's putting a copyright strike on someone else's work that's using the Mormon News Roundup content. And also this is important because I've had a personal interaction with him long before any of this happened. And so this is the next moment.
That's the one that I was going to move. But
you were going to move, but Colby and I were talking before you joined the show and thought this really did belong
talking
here.
without me, huh?
Well, you
so
weren't.
Here's the thing, everybody, just so you know, I had thought if we move this to the end, it won't be, deflating all the mystery and all the fun. Yeah. But there is the other alternate argument. We had it here originally and with my consent and probably direction initially, because chronologically, this is the way that it happened.
This is the first piece in the chronological story. So this is back in 2023. Burke Sorenson reaches out to me and says, "Hey, Bill, I can create shorts for you. I can, for a very cheap price." And it was, and the total is $5,000. That's what the podcast entity paid him. That seems like a lot. And it ended up being quite a bit. And I'll just tell the story this way. We hired Burke to create these shorts. It was a mass amount of shorts. He promised me that the quality would be good, that I would be happy with them. He creates tons of them. I'm going to say maybe 1,000 of them. We paid him $2,500, I think, halfway through, and then $2,500 when the job was complete. What ended up happening is it was right on the front end of when artificial intelligence was able to do this work. And I wasn't aware, again, 2023, this is just as AI is having this capability. And you now could, 2 months later, if I would have waited 2 months, I could have gotten a program for $200 that would have done the exact same thing. But Burke used artificial intelligence to go in and create shorts. And they were clipping moments past when the start of the moment was. They were ending before the moment ended. So he was catching things in episodes that didn't make sense. It just wasn't very good quality. And I went onto a podcast. It might have been Mormonism Live, but I went onto a podcast under our umbrella, and I just noted to the audience, I'm really sorry that the shorts were really low quality. We are going to remove them all and delete them. They just didn't turn out good. I'm really unhappy with them. And then Dives reached out to me and notified me that he was aware that I had criticized the shorts. And even though I didn't name him, which I didn't, and I did that on purpose, I didn't throw him under the bus personally. He said that lots of people knew that he had created the shorts for me, that he had informed people that he was the creator of those. And he was sort of hurt that I criticized these on the air. And I was very direct with him. I said, I'm really sorry, but they truly were low quality, and they truly were interrupting the positive experience of our audience. And I'm a man of my word. I made an agreement with you. We have a contract. We did the job. We paid you. But I also have a right as a customer to say, I'm just not happy with the quality of the product that you produced. And I'm really sorry about that, but that's the truth. And we had this conversation. Sorry, there's traffic going by, some sports car. When I was on the Mormon News Roundup, we did the entire episode. When we got to the end of that episode is when he confronted me about this situation. And so I just said everything I just said to you now, and we parted ways. But I could tell, one is that he was frustrated with me for criticizing these shorts. I was frustrated with him for putting out a really low quality product. And just letting that sit that way. And we just sort of parted ways at that point. And I struck that up to, I probably would not do business with him again. I really didn't have a good experience talking to him about that. And I left it there. And so this moment comes to a close.
Sounds like the experience he had with Signature Books.
Yeah, I don't know what his experience was with Signature Books, but I'm interested to hear that maybe along the way here too.
That's okay. That's okay. We got a lot to cover.
All right.
Well, remember he did the Hit Piece podcast on Barbara Brown and Devery Anderson.
A lot of hit pieces, yes.
Yeah, just a pro tip for folks out there. If you find yourself having difficulty with every person you interact with on a personal and professional level, the issue might be with you.
Maybe it's you.
Yeah. Okay. We can skip this one and go to the next one.
Okay. Now, this is not an I Dream of Jeannie episode. This is a short clip in a longer video that Dives did. This was the one that got him into so much notoriety back in October of 2024. When the big hurricane of the century was hitting Florida, and Steve Pinecker and his mom were right in the path, and Steve's trying to get his mom into a shelter and get out of the way of the storm. What? I'm sorry.
Do we want to bring Steve on for this part, RFM?
Oh, probably, of course. I forgot he's down there.
Hey, yeah, down here in Florida.
You gotta, start waving your hand. Get my attention, Albine. Don't rely on Colby. Okay, Steve. Yeah. So this is October, prime hurricane season.
Yep.
And you are in Florida making preparations, and then this gets put up by Dives, right?
Yeah. And
everybody knows we're not going to play the video.
Okay.
You can watch it other places, But right now we are aware that Dives is going around and doing copyright strikes on people who have this video up. And so in order to avoid that, we're going to just describe it, and I'll let Steve describe it.
Okay,
And,
I wanted to say that, you know, last night on Porch Time they posted the video, and I was talking to Kulch on the phone earlier today, and we both were like, it's even worse than what we remembered it. Like, I hadn't watched it in a long time.
Yeah.
It's really, I understand why Burke doesn't want this information, this video out there, because it's so damning and it's so over the top. And it just was shocking to watch it again last night, because I kind of just moved on from this whole thing. I thought, my gosh, this was so terrible. And so, yeah, I sent you the text that he sent me, the screenshots of the text. He sent me the clip, the link to this video, and sent me this text.
okay, so Dives doesn't just post this video on his channel. What's his channel again? Mormon News Roundup?
Mormon News Roundup.
The Mormon News Roundup channel. He doesn't only post it on the Mormon News Roundup channel. He actually sends a link of it directly by text to Steve Pinecker with a message. And what does the message say, Steve?
I mean, do you guys have that in your slides? Because I can, it's
there's a lot of slides and a lot of evidence. What is it?
Well,
I'll
pull it up real quick. I'll pull it up real quick and just read it, just so people can kind of get the context of it. So, and this is the last text I ever got from him. He says, I heard someone blindsided you over the weekend. That's absolutely terrible. So I wanted to reach out to you and see if there's anything I can do to help. I made this video to spread the word, so hopefully we can get to the bottom of this despicable affair. It's times like this in which the good book brings me so much comfort. 1 Corinthians 4:5. He will bring to light what is hidden in darkness and will expose the motives of the heart.
Well, that should have been the title of tonight's show.
Yes.
Except it's a kind of, obscure.
And again, this is maybe the first example of Dives pretending that he's not involved in a thing.
Yes.
But he's actually the one carrying it out.
And going over and apologizing and going overboard, criticizing the person who's doing it, who he knows is himself.
Yes.
This is part of his MO. He does this over and over, and he'll do it again tonight.
Yeah. Several times.
Okay. So there was this, it was really, really tasteless. It was bad. I think everybody remembers it. If you don't, you should. And if you want to see it, I mean, you could actually go to, what is the episode, Bill, of, it was Mormonism After Dark.
Yeah.
Yeah. It was October.
It was in October.
October 18th.
October
18th.
Yep.
Thank you very
And we'll
much.
show the thumbnail for that, and folks will at least see that. So
and
yes,
that's me holding it up and playing it on my phone to the camera.
we were going to play it for folks tonight, but in the last 48 hours or so, Dives, knowing, I think at least I'm gonna make a.
We announced this was coming last Monday night on the newscast.
Yes, and so as we've teased that this conversation was coming, suddenly he was going behind the scenes to make it harder to show this content. So some folks who have reproduced the things he's done on his show that were offensive or harmful, he has gone and put copyright infringements on those YouTube channels. And
like
so
says,
go ahead.
And like he says under here in this bottom banner that you can still read, as if he's not doing this, he says, evangelical Christian needs our help. Stand with us. Stand with Stevie R.
Stevie P.
I'm sorry, that makes sense. Stevie P against a despicable and vile podcast.
A vile podcaster. Yeah.
Yeah. So this is what he does. He pretends he's not him and excoriates the person who's doing this stuff as if it weren't he himself.
Yeah. And we were going to play this tonight, but we can't. And I'll show you why. And this will be part of this conversation. So if I go to that, it won't let me. And it says this video is no longer available due to a copyright claim by Burke Sorenson. And so he has made it so that we can't replay it. And we could have replayed it in a different way.
Whose platform was this on?
This was on Steve Pinecker's platform, where Steve is doing a screen recording of the video that Dives did. Now I've got the original video. We could certainly play it, but then the same thing would happen to us. Now we would appeal that, and I guarantee we would win.
Absolutely.
It would be fair use. But what would happen is the episode would be unavailable for the next 30 days. And so we're not going to do that tonight, just so that this show can move forward and be available over the next month to demonstrate this evidence and where it leads. So, but I will just say, in the video that would have been shown here, as you noted, Steve, very offensive. He is doing an over-the-top gay man's like a feminine voice kind of thing, and he's saying lots of offensive lines. He's making fun of you. He's making fun of your mom in a moment when you guys are dealing with tragedy.
Yes.
Oh yeah,
he's making fun of the hurricane by making fun of you being a victim of a hurricane.
And just the classism too. Like he's like, oh, the trailer, living in his trailer park mom.
Yes,
and
he said, if you know who's doing this, drop me a note on my Grindr account.
Yeah, just crazy.
He's pretending he's Steve. You understand? That's why he's using this faux gay voice.
Yeah, and of course he said, "Oh, I was trying to do Steve's voice," and it's like, that's not how I sound. That's like a very bad 1990s version of a a stereotypical gay voice. People have talked about what's his name from the Kids in the Hall, Buddy, who played very very closely in that cadence, and so it was so bizarre and over the top.
Yes, and then he dragged your mom into it.
When we were watching it, we watched it while we were prepping the slides and stuff earlier today, Steve. And just to go hand in hand with what you said, it had been so long that I haven't seen it, but it was like, I don't even understand how anyone could think that was even close to funny, or why anyone would think that was even close to appropriate. Like, it was so weird and crazy. Like, I don't even understand how someone could get there in their brain to think that's
a good sign. It's a good sign. And I discussed why earlier, but I'm not going to repeat it here. Everybody can guess at why. What is this you have up here on the screen, Bill?
So this is the next piece. Again, we're working through the chronology of this. So,
right. Because Colby had the great idea. We can't play it. So Colby went and got the transcript of the relevant part of the video that we're not playing, that Dives put up last October, smashing Stephen, or making fun of Stephen and his mom.
Yeah. And we've got Dives' script or transcript for what he said in that video on the right. Yes. We've got Steve Pineker's response to that video on the left. I assume, Steve, when
here's what happened. Here's what happened. It's not his response to the video. Okay. Steve Pineker posted this. Correct me if I'm wrong, Steve. Steve Pineker posted this on his Facebook page. Okay. In response to an earlier slight by Dives. And then using this as a template, Dives created his script for his video, which is represented on the right.
Yep. Right. Do we want to read either of these or both?
Yes. Steve, can you read what you posted?
Sure. To get blindsided by another podcaster while my mom and I are recovering from a major hurricane is one of the most despicable things I've ever experienced. Shame on you. You are truly a vile human being. I'm sure you even knew that I didn't have power, so I couldn't properly respond on video. And then I edited saying, I know that I'm sounding harsh at the moment, but this really hurts and I'm not a happy camper right now. It's important that people feel my raw emotion at this time. Maybe I'll pull it later today. In other words, I was even considering pulling this post at that time, but at the time I was venting because I was truly hurt and disturbed by this individual.
Yeah. And I'm not going to read this the whole way through, but the way that Dives performs this on the podcast, on that video, is I got blindsided by another podcaster. Actually, I'm being more British. I got blindsided by another podcaster while my mom and I are recovering from a major hurricane. Sort of like that. Is that close?
Yeah. You get the cadence a little bit there.
Somewhat. Okay, sorry. That's one of the most despicable things. Here she's using the template. See, I've ever experienced. Shame on you. You are a truly vile human being. So this is what Dives' script is that he's using to respond to this. That's what set Dives off. His video was in response to this post by Steve. I'm sure you even knew I didn't have power, so I couldn't properly respond on video. You can see that's word for word. I know that's kind of harsh, but this really hurts, and I'm not a happy camper right now. It's important that people feel my raw emotion at this time. And then he goes on with his own creation, right? This is what Dives adds to it. The worst part of this whole thing is that my invisible celestial best friend, picture of Jesus, isn't even listening to me anymore. Actually, the more I think about it, maybe he never was. The past year has been very difficult for us. We thought we had many friends. Turns out we have only a few. It's okay, though. God is good. If any of you out there know the identity of this Faster podcaster? Drop me a note. Oh, I can't. Bastard.
It might have been dastardly. I can't remember.
It was bastard.
Transcript. Okay.
I've seen it a number of times. To know the identity of this bastard podcaster, which is himself, drop me a note to my Grindr account. Think Celestial. And that's not all of it. That's just the end. Okay? So you can see how it was. The script of this is truly vile. And it's making fun of what Steve Pinecker had posted. Any other comments about this?
I think it speaks for itself.
Okay, I'll skip this one to the next one then. So
Okay.
then on October 18th, just after this whole episode with Steve and Dive
So this is a
happened,
Friday, right? Or it's a
yeah,
weekend anyway.
this is Friday. I think it might have been Saturday, but I think it's Friday.
It's the week of this
Yep.
whole back and forth.
Yep. You and I went on to Mormonism After Dark, and we spoke out against Dive for doing this. We let our audience know that this had been done, that it was inappropriate, that that it was offensive, and tried to shine a light on it to hold Dive accountable so that this kind of nonsense would stop. And just to show, there's you holding up. Yeah, there's you holding up the phone and showing the video. It's got Steve in there talking, but all it is it's Dive doing a voiceover, saying all these really despicable things, and you and I playing the video for our audience to be able to see it and to be able to know what happened. Yeah.
We are creating the record.
So there's that.
By the way, I just want to say one thing, okay? And I'll do it by form of a question. Steve, has Dives ever apologized to you for this?
Has he personally ever apologized? No. What he did was
he apologized to your mom.
Absolutely not. Nope.
Okay.
Nope. He did a performative apology on his YouTube channel posts, which I tell people it's kind of like the equivalent of the church hiding the gospel topics essays on their website. It's kind of like you know, the kind of the same equivalency.
Well, we'll have another non-apology apology before the night is through from Dives. Okay, so that was on October 18th, 2024. That's when we did our episode on this issue, right as it was breaking within the couple of days of it. And what's this one about? Oh, now we fast forward. We fast forward to a month ago. It's like March 26th, okay? It was actually a little bit earlier than March 26th. And what happened, Bill, do you want to talk about what happened?
Yeah, this was March 23rd, 2025. I never watched this, so I'll let Steve comment on this, but Jim Bennett goes on to the Mormon News Roundup, episode 156 of Mormon News Roundup.
With Dives.
Communicated podcaster.
Yes,
podcasters. Yeah. And Steve, what was the gist of what happened here that caught your attention?
So what happens is I get home, it's around 10 o'clock at night, and I just turn on my YouTube and I see this in the feed, which is so strange because I'm not even subscribed to his channel. And I see this, that Jim is on and Ian Wilkes are on this program. And I'm like, wait a second. I thought they knew. In my mind, I was like, I'm sure they know about my history with Divas. And so I was kind of like, what's going on? So while they're still on the air, I literally send them the video and said, what are you guys doing going on this program? And what's so interesting, and it was actually brought up to us by a person in the comments, they were like, yeah, last time you were on Steve's program, you guys both said, we have your back, Steve, against what Divas did to you. So, and I had forgotten about that. Jim had forgotten about it, but I knew there was something.
Yeah, I heard about it, and I went back and I watched the whole thing at a greatly speeded up rate, and it finally got toward the end. I thought he's not going to say it, and then sure enough, he said it.
Yep.
He just forgot. It's been 6 months, and he forgot apparently.
Yeah. So at this point, I had moved past all of this, I thought, but I was immediately triggered, and everything that had happened to me like 5 months before all came back onto me again. So at this point, I'm on the phone talking with Jim, and we're conversing like, Jim, he was like, oh, I'm so sorry, Steve. What can I do? And I said, well, maybe you should come on my program and just kind of clear the air about what happened. And so I was like, so he agreed to come on. And I was, And I just want to be, I want people to understand too, what I did. I was very deliberate. I did a very low effort thumbnail that was non-controversial, that did not have Dives on the thumbnail. I did not
That's not this one. This one's Divas's thumbnail, or is
That's
this yours?
Divas's, right?
Can I
Okay.
stop you guys for just a split second?
Yeah.
We are all saying his name differently. I'll just note it's the way
Everybody
he spells,
does.
Yeah,
Nobody
the way
knows how to pronounce it.
The way he spells his pseudonymous name is Dives. I've been calling it Dives forever. I just heard Pinecker call it Dives. I've heard Dive. I don't know.
Some people call it Diva.
I say diva as well. I think more of this is a diva situation.
I want to be respectful, so I'm just going to call him Dives.
Yeah.
So so basically I do a low effort thumbnail. We don't play the video on my channel. And I was trying to actually basically do like a last minute, olive branch to Diva saying, listen, why don't you just try come clean on this whole thing, and we can help you. And if you want to just come clean and apologize, I said, I'll have you on my program and I'll promote your channel. I mean, That's literally how I ended it on my very channel. As I'm trying to model how, as a Christian, what does it look like to be attacked and turning the other cheek, right?
That's how Jesus would podcast.
Right. And I was just trying to show like, hey, I'm not in this to try to hurt you, but you've hurt me. You've hurt, more importantly, you hurt a lot of friends of mine. You hurt Devery. You hurt Barbara Jones Brown. You hurt Jonathan Streeter. You've hurt other people that have reached out to me that he has hurt in the past and currently. And at this, and of course, he hurt my mom. I mean, he's literally, attacked my mom. And so, people tell me, and this is what pissed me off, is I was hearing from people in the ex-Mormon community saying, oh, you're beating a dead horse, or you should turn the other cheek, or, is this new? Like, is this a new attack? Like, why are you having Jim Bennett on? People are doing these performative comments. And this is in the ex-Mormon community. And I'm like, you would never, ever give the church a pass if they attacked my mom and the LGBT community that happened with us. So for these ex-Mormons to start defending him and start platforming him again and going on this program and defending him, and then when I have people commenting like, "Oh, this is old. Like, why are you doing this?" I'm like, you know what? Watch the video because it hadn't been released yet, and then call me tomorrow because these people have my phone number. Give me a call, text me, and we can talk about it. They never got back to me.
Okay, so let me see if I can recap. All right. So back in October is the initial video, the one that we started with, the one that we can't show, right? Mm-hmm. And then 6 months later, so 5 months later, last March, okay? Last March, Jim Bennett and his co-host, but Jim Bennett shows up on Dives' show, the Mormon News Roundup. You saw that. You thought, what on earth is going on? Somebody forgot something. There's cross wires here somewhere. You contacted both Jim Bennett and his co-host, and Jim Bennett agreed to come on to your show, your following show, right?
Yep. And
he was on your show, and that was March 26th, right? Or was it March 25th?
It was the Tuesday after he came on. So Sunday was the 23rd, 24th, and maybe the 25th.
It was the 25th. And so on that evening, Jim Bennett is on your show. And by the way, even though he was trying to be diplomatic, you were not kind to Dives.
Okay.
Is that fair to say?
Well, I think
you roughed him up a little.
I probably did. Yeah, I did. I get emotional about this. Yeah, because, and again, it has you went after my mom, so of course I'm going to rough you up a little bit.
Well, if you roughed him up a little bit, I'm sure it's a coincidence that it was only the following day, on March 26th, that somebody using a fake Bill Reel account sent you a lengthy email inviting you to come on to Mormonism Live to really eviscerate that Dives, because he's so awful, and he really does like to diss himself in the third person.
And what's so interesting, it was sent shortly before you guys went live that night.
Oh, so, it was after. It was actually after we went live. Yeah, we've got those right here now. Do we have this? Let's see what's next. Yeah, this is the show. Okay, so this is a Wednesday evening, which is March 26th. So Stephen has Jim Bennett on his show the day before on Tuesday. And then on the 26th, we're doing our show. It's the Mormonism Live show on Wednesdays at 6:20 p.m. Mountain Time. If you don't know that by now, that's when we start. Sometimes we're a few seconds late. But this is the show we were doing that night, which is why Bill has it up here. And also because this is Sam Nieves. I think that was how he pronounced his name. Nieves. He was on the show. And who the person who was impersonating Bill Reel, who's sending this email to Steve right at this time, is referencing Sam Nieves in pretending to be Bill for verisimilitude, right? Are we done with this slide, Bill?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, this was what it was about. And here's Bill.
This next one
Sam
is
Nieves. Here's me. And this is 6 minutes into the show.
This
is at 6. Basically, it's about, we started 6:20. So this would be 6:26 p.m. Mountain Time, correct?
Yes. And I'll just note here, when you see the first email that's sent to Steve, Steve is being asked to believe that while I'm doing this show with RFM, interviewing Sam Nieves, I am either typing up or at the very minimum taking this pre-drafted email and I'm sending it on to Steve Pinecker under an email I've never used before. And you'll see that email here in just a moment. But just to point out, and folks get this, I am so damn nervous at the beginning of shows. We are just getting off the ground at the beginning of a show. You want to make sure that the intro plays right. You want to make sure sound is working. Sometimes we end up with an echo because something's not paid attention to.
Sometimes it plays right.
Sometimes it plays right. And I'll just note for the culprit in doing this, it was sort of a bad move because you left so many clues behind that it wasn't me, that everyone in this community figured it out pretty quick. In fact, I was the last to the game to figure all of this out as we move along. But just to note that as we get into the email, which happens next, and you'll see the timestamp is Eastern time. And this is the original email, and this was sent out at 8:22 p.m. Eastern time, which would be 6:22 Mountain time. This is 2 minutes after we started the show.
Right, 2 minutes after. And then there will be other emails sent from the fake Bill Reel even later on into the show. Okay, can I read this, please?
Sure.
Okay, this is from the fake Bill Reel using the Bill Reel MD at gmail.com fake account. Hello, Steve. RFM caught your latest episode of Mormon Book Reviews with Jim Bennett and forwarded me your Facebook post. And I'm so sorry. That's the Facebook post I think that we may have shown. I don't know. I'm so sorry that all of this is happening to you. I'm sending this from my personal email, by the way. And it's not that Facebook post we showed. It's a more recent one from a month ago, obviously. And I'm so sorry that all of this is happening to you. I'm sending this from my personal email, by the way. I'm so glad to see that John DeLynn is wading in. By the way, I'm sending this from my personal email, by the way, is a classic tell on someone who's trying to cover their tracks and thinks that the person who's reading it might notice the unusual email address and is thereby trying to attack the doubt before the doubt forms in the person's mind, in Steve's mind, in this case, the recipient. I think it's time to rally the ex-Mormon community and call out Dives for his truly vile behavior in a more substantial way. We want to do Mormonism Live episode detailing his harmful actions. And by the way, he uses truly vile behavior there to mimic Steve. Not only towards you, but also your mother, hurricane survivors, and many, many others. I'm going to try and just read through this, okay, and not tell you all the things that are occurring to me. I'm sure they're occurring to you too, right? Remember, this person is representing themselves as Bill Reel, writing to Steve Pinecker, and yet now he's using Steve Pinecker's words that are the same words that Dives had mimicked in his video. I don't know why Bill would be using these words, but nevertheless, that's how it's represented. Okay, it's time. I think it's time to rally the ex-Mormon community and call out Dives for his truly vile behavior in a more substantial way. We want to do Mormonism Live episode detailing his harmful actions, not only towards you, but also your mother, hurricane survivors, and many, many others. There's a whole list of people he has wronged, and we might try to get one or two of them on the show as well. But we are still working out the details. Now,
and just so you can, that line right there, RFM, really stuck out for me because I was like, oh, good. This will be an opportunity for other people to come on the program to share how they were hurt. So that was the hook for me. Like
Yes.
that's what that was the line that really like, yeah, let's get these the other people on because I don't want to make this about me. I want to make this about the other people that he hurt. And so that's what had me hooked for a little bit there. That thought maybe
thanks for letting us know that, because he's obviously throwing out hooks right and left. And if that's the one that got you, then that's interesting. Also, I was going to say at this end of this line, that is the end of the email that we showed on Monday's newscast. We only showed the first part. We didn't have the rest of it at the time.
Yeah,
right?
the first 2 sections is all that we showed on the show.
Working out the details, right? That's all we showed. Everything else below this has not been revealed before tonight, at least not publicly. So Fake Bill Real continues writing this email to Steve Pinecker, March 26th, 8:22 p.m. while the real Bill Real is doing a show. I'm wondering what your availability looks like on April 2nd. We would have to bump someone, but this is important. We had a lot of fun uncovering the invention and cover-up of Richard Nygren last time you were on. Referencing when Steve was on, or sorry, Bill was on your show, wasn't he, Steve? Or was it vice versa?
No, I was on Bill's show. Yep.
But you were together and you were unraveling that mystery of Richard Nygren, kind of like we're unraveling the mystery of Dives this evening. The irony will get thick before we're done. We had a lot of fun uncovering the invention and cover-up of Richard Nygren last time you were on, and I think this will be just as big. We'll let the audience decide.
Well, yeah.
These are the key points, he goes on. These are the key points we're hoping to get your affirmation on. So here you go. We just want you to affirm any of these 5, right? Please step into my parlor, said the spider to the fly. We want to get your affirmation on these. Number 1, it's time to dox Dives. He's hiding behind a pseudonym, and we are going to put an end to that once and for all. 2, we will rally the ex-Mormon community to mass flag all of Dives' videos, past and future, for bullying and hate speech. This will effectively bring his channel to its knees. 3, we will work to get his YouTube channel shut down entirely. There are ways this can be done without him knowing who is involved. 4, we will release Dives' stake president's mailing address in Northern Virginia. So here Dives is saying he lives in Northern Virginia. I had heard Washington, D.C., but I understand a lot of people who work in Washington, D.C., you know, it's a big bedroom community. And I'm not vouching for the truth of anything that he's saying here. We will release Dives' stake president's mailing address in Northern Virginia so others can write in about how much harm he has caused. And what did you think about that, Colby? If you want to just add it now. Number 4, releasing Dives' stake president's mailing address.
Yeah, is it on the next slide where we have that kind of like summary of the points?
If it is, then I'll just conclude with number 5. Exclusive. We are going to reveal Dives. Boy, this sounds just like you, Bill. In every freaking email I get from you, I just wish you would just tone down the enthusiasm. Exclusive. We are going to reveal Dives' private YouTube channel. Wow, members only. Where he posts pictures of his family as part of the effort to take him out. What? Colby. Oh, wait, he misspelled Colby. He spelled it Kobly.
That was
not
a
an
joke.
inside joke anymore.
That was a joke 44 minutes in the making.
Oh my gosh, that's a lead up. I hope it was worth it. No, he says, we're going to reveal Dives' private YouTube channel where he posts pictures of his family as part of the effort to take him out. What Colby, he means, what Colby Reddish uncovered is unbelievable! Exclamation point. Wow, that should whet Steve's appetite. And it did. You won't believe what we found. Please let me know that you are on board. Actually says, please let me know that you on board with these 5 points. That's all he wants you to do is tell him that you're on board so he can screw you with it. If so, I think we're going to have one heck of a show. Well, he thought that was clever. Let me know your thoughts. Best, Bill. Okay, Bill, I got to ask you a question. Did you send this email to Steve Pinecker at 8:22 p.m. or any other time of the year?
No, and there are several clues that it's not from me. You've never seen me go after trying to take someone's channel away from them. I've never gone after people to that degree. I don't sign off any of my emails best, comma, Bill. That's not me.
You know how to spell my name too, don't you?
I know how to spell your name.
Well, anyone can make a misstep there. And in fact, that misstep may end up coming around to bite the author of this letter.
And I don't go after people's families either. That's just never something I've ever thought to do.
Yeah. It's just a yes or no question, but that's okay.
Yeah.
That's okay. We trust you, Bill.
No. Well, I think
obviously you're doing it during the show, and it goes on because, oh, wait a second. Okay, well, let's just do this part. This is, did you send this? But I wanted the back and forth too. We'll get to that.
We'll get to that. So this is the moment when Pinecker, you send me this screenshot. So all I have is the screenshot of the very top of the email. And so you'll see this is my text on my phone. Steve Pinecker's in my contacts. He sends me this and says, "Did you send this?" And then it's just the screenshot of the very top portion of the email. Again, I don't see it at this time. I don't know how I missed it. I must have opened it and moved on to something else that was happening suddenly in my life, because I don't remember this at all.
Did you send this? Yeah, I don't know if it grabbed my attention either. Sorry, Steve.
Yeah. So there's that. So then if we go back, that was the first email two screenshots ago, two slides ago. You read, RFM, the first email that the fake Bill Reel sent Steve Pinecker.
Mm-hmm.
This is the back and forth between you, Steve, and the fake Bill Reel. And I put a red line separating each level of conversation.
Thank you.
Yeah.
So at March 26, 2025 at 8:24 p.m., which is 2 minutes later.
Yeah.
Mormon Book Reviews, and that's, of course, Steve Pinecker, texts or emails. This is the email, right? Emails back. What can you read this? What you emailed back, Stephen? So I'll have it in your own voice.
Okay, so where do you want me to pick up?
Reaching out, the very top line.
Oh, okay. So I wrote him, said, "Thanks for reaching out. Would you be free to talk on the phone tomorrow?" And one of those reasons I said that was there's some things in this email, these points. I don't think this is I don't want to, I was like, we can talk through and work it out. And he said, I'm sorry, Steve, literally going live right now with Sam Neves. Can I get a tentative thumbs up?
Wait. That's me. You're reading my line, Steve.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Okay. It's like you're taking over the show.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Okay. So then what happens is that same day, so it's 8:26 now. So it's 6 minutes into the show. Remember the still we showed you of what was going on 6 minutes into the show with Sam Neves?
So you're going to impersonate the fake Bill Reel here.
No, I didn't want you to do it because then it would be like inculpatory if you actually read the fake Bill Reel thing. So here we go. Colby, would you read it?
I'll just sure, I can be Bill fake.
Fake Bill.
Okay. I am sorry, Steve. Literally going live with Sam Neves. Right now with Sam Neves, can I get a tentative thumbs up?
You see, he wants the yes. All he wants is your imprimatur of yes. That's what he's begging for. Mm-hmm. And so it's at 8:33, which is now we're 13 minutes into the show. Anyway, but this is now just you from here on out, right, Steve?
What's that?
And at 8:33 p.m., you say what?
Yes, a tentative one. I'm interested.
Okay. And then at 9:28 p.m., which is less than an hour later?
Less than an hour later.
You come to your senses after probably talking with Colby.
Well, and I just was like, I was at that point. I was kind of like, let's talk tomorrow. I'm not sure that we should involve his family. I'm not comfortable with that. Also, I don't think we should dox him. We can discuss this tomorrow. If anything, I believe in giving people a second chance. We can sort all of this out tomorrow. I look forward to talking tomorrow. Thanks for being such a good friend.
I like how the author of this email set up a rake for you to jump on, Steve, and instead you picked it up and are now smacking him over the head with said rake.
Oh, yeah. Yes. So were there any responses? So this is all going back and forth between you and fake Bill. Bill doesn't know anything about it because he's not involved in it. And is this the last you heard in response from fake Bill?
That's it.
You see, this is where he got himself off the hook because you didn't take the bait, Steve.
Right.
You disowned the idea enough where he said, well, this isn't going to work out. I played the gambit. It didn't work out. I'll go on to something else, apparently. But this evening, you were in communication, Steve, with Colby. Is that correct?
Hey,
On March 26th?
let me stop you guys for just a second.
Yeah.
Somebody's asking why the date on the bottom part looks different. I just want to explain how I put this up on the screen, and Steve can vouch that this is the original email. When you do an email thread in Gmail back and forth, it actually puts the newest one at the top and the originals at the bottom. So I made it so that we could read this more easily. I put the first one at the top and the successive ones. The very bottom one would be the newest one, and that would be the email that you have. And then you click the 3 dots and you get to see the email chain below. And so that's the reason the format on the bottom one is different, is because it's the most current email that got sent that Steve is pulling all of this information from.
And I want everybody to know I had the same question, and I talked about it with Colby yesterday, and he sent me the originals, and yeah, it looks normal.
Yeah, and I guess that
I think I had a slide of them. I don't know if we ended up using it. We'll see.
I think we'll come back to them. And I think, just to interject, one of the reasons I'm here, aside from being mentioned in the emails, is because you guys were live. Someone in the comments said it would be so funny if these emails were sent during a Mormonism Live, Mormonism After Dark, or Mormon newscast stream. They were. All of this was sent while Bill is on screen live, a few minutes into this episode. And that's in part one of the other reasons I'm here, is because Steve and I talked multiple times this night, because you guys are live and he can't talk to Bill or RFM, but I'm mentioned as being involved in this. And for the record, have never done any research on anybody's family, never would. I think that type of behavior is unhinged and very weird. It's not something I would ever participate in. And so when Steve reached out to me, that's basically how we started talking. Is I told Steve that night that we didn't have any research we were doing on Dives at all. I had no idea what he was talking about.
So now, everybody, you're going to get to see the text between Stephen Pinecker, the real Stephen Pinecker, and the real Colby Reddish on Wednesday, March 26, 2025. And Steve, would you read your parts and Colby yours? What, Bill?
Okay. One more thing needs to be said about that previous screenshot, which is for folks who are trying to follow the back and forth, the very last two isn't a back and forth. Steve responds twice without the fake Bill Reel saying something in between. So when Steve responds, yes, a tentative one, I'm interested, Steve, you then responded again to the fake Bill Reel and said, let's talk tomorrow, I'm not sure, so on so forth. There wasn't a message from the fake Bill Reel in between that.
Right, exactly.
Right.
Now, if you guys can do me a favor, I need to take a quick bathroom break. I'll step aside and we can prep this. So just continue live, and I'll be right back.
Your mom can take over for you.
Yeah, sounds good.
Put her in the chair. All right. Well, let's see here. What does this look like? Are we going to be able to read these? I hope so, Bill.
Yeah, there are
my fault, by the way. I could have made them smaller, but I wanted you to have, all the information on it you could. Hopefully it's not at the expense of their legibility.
Yeah, I'll say this so that you can then scoot forward. Folks, anytime RFM and I present anything on these kinds of situations, we always want to make sure that you have the full context, the full document, that there's no chance for you to perceive that we're rearranging things or cutting things out or changing the meaning of things. So the first few images will be the text messages. Then as you get past the full shots of them, I have cut them and made them bigger. And you can, if anyone doubts that these are legitimate, again, we've got Colby, we've got Culch here who will speak to some of this later as well. You'll see the ability to read it in the bigger images, and you can go back to these images and verify that everything is exactly the way it originally was.
So the first thing I'll note is that this is from Steve's phone, the SP. Oh, actually, it's from Colby's phone. Yes. It's from Colby's phone.
Yeah,
that's why it has Steven up there, SP Steve Pinecker. So the first email is dated. You can see it. It's Wednesday, March 26th at 7:17 p.m., which is Mountain Time, I'm guessing, right? No. Yeah, Colby, you're in Idaho Mountain Time?
Yep, that's correct.
So that's Mountain Time, the 7:17 p.m.?
Yep.
So that's about an hour into the show.
Right.
And what Steve says is, I just got an email from Bill Reel. He says that you've uncovered some stuff on Burke, i.e. Dives, right? He says you've uncovered some stuff on Burke. Remember, that was in the email. And Colby, what do you respond?
I say, Me, nope. He may be mistaken with someone who reached out to me about.
Can we go to the bigger one just so that that's a little easier?
Yeah, so I don't have
thank
to
you,
lean
Bill.
forward as much. Thank you. He said, me, nope. He may be mistaken with someone who reached out to me about Jacob's rental businesses. Oh, forgot that those were in there. Well, you're welcome, Jacob. I didn't do anything about your rental businesses.
Sketchy business
asked
dealing.
me to.
Allegedly, that people keep calling about and wanting us to cover, but we say, no, that wouldn't be right.
I told the
those
person,
sketchy business dealings, Colby.
Allegedly.
I'm sorry. Go back to this again. We got to stay on track.
Okay.
My fault.
I just got an email from Bill Reel. He says you uncovered stuff on Burke. I respond to Steve, me, nope. He may be mistaken with someone who reached out to me about Jacob's rental businesses. I told that person I wasn't interested in going after anyone's livelihood ever.
Right. And so then Steve sends you screenshots of the email from the fake Bill so he can show you the last part, especially where it says that you've dug up some stuff on, or that you, Colby, have dug up some stuff on Dives.
Right.
So the next one, so these are just screenshots on the white background, and it continues. See, best Bill, right? And then there's yes, a tentative one, I'm interested. And then it goes over here. And then it goes over here. And this is where you can see that one part that was out of, it was a little bit different, bigger font in the way it was reproduced with Bill's help. This is the way it looks in the actual one. See, it's just the same as every other one. Let's talk tomorrow. I'm not sure that we should involve his family. I'm not comfortable with that. This is Steve, signing at Steven. And that was what, at 9:28 p.m. or so? Okay. Now, is this Steven who says, I think it is, Steven says, I'm starting to wonder if Bill actually sent this. And what do you write back, Colby?
I say, are you sure that's Bill? I haven't spoken about Dives since he did that attack on you. Well, RFM and I did talk about him briefly today, but only in the context of your video with Jim, because
Colby's trying to make sense out of this.
Yeah.
He's trying to make sense out of a lie.
And then I continue and say, this is on the right-hand column, I haven't done any research on Dives, so I don't know if this is a mistake or what. I didn't even know his name was Burke until we started putting this episode together. I then said, can you send me a photo of the email address? I bet you anything this is Dives himself.
Why did you say, I bet you anything this is Dives himself? Unfortunately, there's not another lawyer to object.
Well, luckily we're not in court. Right. The reason I thought it was Dives himself is because I see people in the chat mentioning other like apologists this may be, is because the content of the email had such specific knowledge of stuff that's very niche in the Exmo space. And the one example that you asked me about, that 0.4 in that email, RFM, is talking about writing into that person's, writing into Dives's stake president. And there have been a lot of people who've been very, myself included, you, Bill, who've been included in this as well, who've been very critical of Jacob Hansen's behavior, writing Julie Hank's stake president multiple times and then lying about it for years. And so what I'm seeing here is I'm seeing someone who's very unwell and who is trying to catch Steve in some perceived hypocrisy of associated with people who are criticizing Jacob for this behavior, but would be willing to do it to someone that they don't like. I also just thought the pre-apology of I'm writing this not from my normal email and the time frame in which it was released, because I was watching Mormonism Live that night, and so I knew you guys were busy.
So was fake Bill Reel. Fake Bill Reel was watching it too. Because he says, I literally just started it with Sam Neves. So it's likely that it was on, even if only in the background. Was there anything else here, or is this Bill? Did we get to
no. So there's more text messages there. What?
Oh yeah.
Okay.
So the next one right here. This is the very next thing. Oh,
all right.
Yeah. So this is where we ended. It's the bottom, the far right there. Bottom is just the repost of the original email screenshot. So then we can move on. And so there you see it again.
And that's because I had asked Steve to try and get get the email address itself. And so we were kind of going back and forth on that.
And you told him, and I didn't know this either. You click the little down thing, the caret or something.
Right.
And then it gives the email address.
Exactly. And so
that's where we got the billrealmd@gmail.com.
Exactly. I then said, I have no idea what he'd be talking about. I haven't done any research about Dives at all. The email doesn't sound like Bill to me. Will you keep me posted? I'm concerned this is fake, but it's possible RFM and Bill I have a typo there. I should have said miscommunicated. And what I meant is, a lot of times when RFM and I might be talking about something, maybe he mentioned that I was researching something else, and somehow there's just a game of telephone that I was like, well, I don't want to say that it's impossible, but it didn't make any sense to me because I've never done any type of research like that on someone's family.
Yes. And Colby and Steve, these are the text exchanges you both had on that night of March 26, 2025.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Are you going to move to admit, counselor?
I think we can at this point.
Okay.
Is this a true and correct copy?
That's right.
Now, what's this?
This is continuing that conversation. So, Steve, do you want to read your message there at the top of the left?
I will. I'm thinking now that it isn't Bill. And then you said,
can you screenshot the original address that sent the original email?
This is where you figure it out.
Yeah, not yet. He hasn't clicked the caret yet, but I'd
still be trying to figure it out.
Yeah, that's okay. I then said, I think it's Dives trying to get content to continue going after you. Please be careful. I can assure you, I haven't done any research on the guy. And then I can see the beginning of the next message. Click the little button next to me. And that's then when we see the email address, Bill Real MD. And then I said, I have never gotten an email from Bill at that address.
Boom. Okay. And was that the end one of that? Yes, it was. Okay. So that was all going on the evening of March 26, 2025. Isn't this interesting? I'm finding this quite fascinating.
And then this is several days later, and this is still Steve and I having our text exchange.
Oh,
so if you'll go to the next one.
Yeah.
So Dives had posted, he'd pulled a bunch of stuff from Exmo Joe with the Church of Korhor. He pulled a bunch of stuff that he posted on TikTok and put it all together. And it had to do with Exmo Joe's sexual history or something. But it was obvious that it was put together in a way that was trying to embarrass Exmo Joe. And so I send to Steve, this is the next day where I say, feel free to call me for about the next half hour. I'll then be in a meeting for about an hour because we were...
Colby, I'm sorry. Bill, yes. Did you do a separate slide that has this in larger font?
So the original is the far left there, and then it is split into two parts that are slightly bigger so that we can read them easier.
Oh, okay.
And so the middle and the right one are the same thing as the picture on the left.
Thank you.
Yeah, and so when I'm I'm just on Facebook or whatever at work, because I had just gotten to work around this time, and I see this video and I see Joe commenting, I own it all. I'm not embarrassed of this. The thing that was most interesting to me is I see this comment from the Facebook account, Dives Lazarus. This is on the right hand that people can see, the right hand column. And it says MNRU, which is Mormon News Roundup. He makes it an acronym all the time. Is a well-known sexist and bigot. I suggest we collab to get his channel taken off of YouTube as hate speech. Remember, that was one of the phrases that was used in that 5 points of the email. DM if interested.
Oh, getting his channel taken off YouTube. And once again, this is Dives talking smack about himself in the third person.
Exactly.
Right? It's like that, was it the Seinfeld episode? What was that about? The guy was always, Jimmy's getting angry.
Oh, yeah.
That's right. George is getting upset.
So Dives is saying about his own podcast, MNRU is a well-known sexist and bigot. In other words, he's talking about himself. Well-known sexist and bigot. I suggest we collab to get his channel taken off YouTube as hate speech. Yep, that was one of the points in the fake Bill email to Steve. And then you said, is that you in the green?
Yeah, I said, look at Dives' comment. Same thing as the email you received. This must be his new game. So this is just a few days later. It says Sunday, March 30th.
Okay. And earlier in the one before was March 27th. Yeah, we can see that. Okay. Very good. Thank you for pointing that out. And
this is again just drawing attention. It was point number 2 in that email from March 26th from the fake Bill Reel. We will rally the ex-Mormon community to mass flag all of Dives' sick videos. That just means there's a typo there. All of his videos, past and present, for bullying and hate speech. 3 days later, Dives is publicly mocking his own behavior. This is a video he put together as hate speech.
And this one.
I think this is between Bill and Steve now.
So yeah, the only thing that needs to be said here, this again is the screenshot that Steve sent me. Did you send this? And at this point, now we're getting close to the current moment. This, I was going to grab the
Saturday,
dates.
Bill.
I was going to grab the dates for this, but this was Saturday. It was 2 days before the newscast.
So
Yes,
April 19th. Easter was famously on April 20th, 420.
Yep. Pinecker reaches out to me regarding something else, and it's then that I noticed that I never saw this or responded to it. And this is what I thought Steve was initiating a conversation. So I thought he had just sent this. And I respond to him, no, that is not my email. My email addresses, I share both of them there. He goes, okay, good to know. I sent that screenshot almost a month ago, so I was worried. I thumbs up. That's his thumbs up. I put, can I share this with RFM and a few content creators to show that someone is doing this? And Steve, you responded to me to do whatever I thought was right. So that's when I put this on social media, went on the newscast with this. So it's just to establish we're getting close to the present moment. I finally saw it. I let Steve know that this is not me, and I'm now going to make the effort to let the community know that somebody is out there impersonating me.
And now we come up to this past Monday, April 21st, and the newscast. That's where we started.
Yeah. And the important thing here, and I'll show it in the next slide, when we put this up on the screen, again, we only showed the first 2 sections. That comes to be very important later on because the culprit made a mistake. And we'll see that later. But this screenshot is all that ever got showed to the general public.
Because it's all that you had.
Yes. This is all that Steve sent me.
And remember, he sent it by a screenshot.
Yep. So I didn't get everything down below. I just got this. And this is what everyone on the newscast saw. No one up to this moment and slightly into the future has ever seen the full email.
Well, and I think that's a really important point, Bill. And so, Steve, I would ask you the question. So we've seen that you sent me the emails that night. You sent it to Bill. Did you send the full email to anybody else?
Nope, just you two. That's it.
There we go. And Bill, you hadn't seen it for a month. And the first time I sent it to anybody, we'll get to in a minute.
Yep. Nobody's seen the full email except for the culprit and the 3 of us.
Right. And what we read to you tonight. So these are the texts now. Hey, Cultural Hall. Steve? Do we need Steve anymore? I know it's late there in Florida. It's much earlier with Colch in Florida. Steven, do we need Steven for anything else?
You're welcome to hang around, Steve, but I don't think there's anything else going forward that requires you to account for that being what happened.
Well, I'm asking Steve that question because he had told me earlier that he was hoping to get off and head out as early as he could.
Yeah, and I'll watch the rest of this, on the TV and just watch it. But I just wanted to say just as I'm leaving. First of all, thank you for being such good friends and having my back here. And I just wanted to say, to the audience, I was okay with people being friends with Burke and going on his show for all this time. But I have to say, going forward, I would have trust issues with anybody that would remain in his orbit, that would defend him or would continue to platform him, or people would continue to go on his thing. So I would have a trust issue with this person, and at the very basis of friendship is trust. And if I can't trust you anymore, I don't know if we can be friends. I just want to leave it at that, and thank you so much for having me on tonight. And I will watch the rest of this sitting on my couch and having a beer or two.
Awesome. Have a great night, Steve.
Thank you. Oh, yeah. RFM, you're muted.
Hang on a second. Bill muted me. It's an old trick of his. It's a Romulan trick. So, Steve, here's what I want to tell you, okay? if you think of anything that you forgot to say, you got the link. You can come back on. Okay.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay. And I was saying before that, I wish I could join you. So have a good night. Give my best to your mom, and we'll see you later.
Appreciate it, guys.
Take it easy.
All right. Where's that cultinator?
Oh, there we are.
There, I was there for a sec. Hey, fellas.
You were. Coach, how are you doing?
I'm doing good, man. I've been sitting backstage watching, waiting for my time to jump on.
I've been watching you. I wanted to introduce you because I didn't want to just bring you on without notice, given what I could see you doing down there in that small box at the bottom of the screen.
I was just hanging out.
You were doing great. Okay, so now we get to some texts that are between you, Cultural Hall, or Culch as you're now known, and Dives. And this was from this past Tuesday, April 22nd, 2025. Is that right?
That's right. And after we get through this, if you guys will give me just a couple minutes to talk about some stuff, but yeah, let's hit this. This was when I saw the newscast. I saw it the next day, and so I saw
we
that
have the newscast on Monday, the 21st.
Yeah.
You see it the next day on the 22nd.
Yes, I see this portion about it, and the first thing that clicks in my head, like, oh no, is this Dives? So
Now,
I
we didn't
text
say
him.
anything on the newscast at all about it being Dives, did we?
No,
Or Divas?
I don't know. I think Bill had mentioned his name, but I don't know that he was saying it's him. I don't think any allegations were made at all.
Why
Okay.
were you hyper aware of Dives being involved, Coach? Because I think you kind of wanted to explain the backstory, right?
Yeah. I mean, it goes back to what happened last year with that whole video with him, and everybody knows that I've been close with Dives. He was one of the first people to invite me on his show. He helped me launch my YouTube channel. We've collabed on a lot of stuff. And so when all this went down, I definitely felt for Steve. I was more on Steve's side with the video not being appropriate, but I kind of stayed in touch with Dives behind the scenes. I would just check in and see how he was doing. And I honestly hoped that he would apologize to Steve and he would be able to come back into the ex-Mormon community and do his show, because I kind of like his show. And I was hoping to kind of rehab him. I actually had him on my show last week, hoping to do this. We had a chat, and he talked about, just he felt he had kind of been done wrong during this whole thing, and his friends, people didn't stand up for him and didn't push back. Like when Steve had mentioned his name in one of the videos, and the implication of homophobia, no one had pushed back on that. And so, I felt a little bad, and I was kind of like, okay, let me see, I'm gonna have this guy on my show, and then this happens. And I'm like, sorry guys, I'm gonna say the F word, fuck.
When was your show?
I just had him on my show, and now this is happening. And
When was
so
your show?
it was last Thursday, last week. I had him on, and this happens, and I'm like, holy crap, this was like a month before that, and I didn't know about it. And if I had, I wouldn't have had him on. And I've talked to Steve privately, and I owe Steve a public apology, and I wanted to do that on this show. But Steve and I have talked privately about this, and I've apologized to him. But I was just hoping it wasn't him. So this was my text to him, just saying, like, please tell me it wasn't you.
And did he respond?
He did.
Did he say, no, it wasn't me?
There was not an explicit denial.
What was there? And here we have the texts. I
It
tell you what, can I read
more
these?
of a
Is that
non.
okay? I always want the best
Yeah.
for myself. Is that okay?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay. So you text, you do a screen grab of the Monday night newscast where we're showing that first portion of the email from Fake Bill. You send it to Dive. You say, did you hear about this? And then you say, please tell me this wasn't you, dude. And now Dives responds to you, correct?
Yes.
Dive says, I am not giving MBR Mormon book reviews, i.e. Steve Pinecker. I am not giving MBR any more oxygen in my life. I am not going to respond to this or anything else they drum up. Not to you, nor to anyone else. I am trying to put this all behind me. Certain people won't let it go. The eternal grievance won't end. I mean, I just queued up the episode. I don't know what RFM is trying to do about. Can we take that one down? Thank you. I mean, I just queued up the episode. I don't know what RFM is trying to do about talking about felonies, like some kind of a fishing expedition. I am this is all Dives. I am replaying this in my mind now. The timeline doesn't work out. I can see that the email is dated in the email is in March, but Bill said that this was sent to him to the day after my video, which was back in October. Yes, Bill did misspeak. There's also, to an interesting conclusion, by the way. Dives goes on. There's also some awkward typos in the email. Mark that statement. There's also some awkward typos in the email. Because
there are people who are saying they're a little lost on who this text is from. So, Coach, this text is from Dives to you, correct?
And it's right here in the bottom right corner of the slide, too. So you can see this. I put a description of it in the bottom right-hand corner of the slides. So hopefully those people who are confused can read that. Text exchange between Burke Sorenson / Dives Lazarus, it's the same guy, and Colch on Tuesday afternoon, April 22nd, 2025, beginning at 3:52 p.m. Eastern Time.
Okay, so that was the whole first text message, right? That ended with there's also some weird typos, or sorry, awkward typos in the email. What did you think of that?
I think the first one is like some kind of a fishing expedition, and then at the top is a new text from.
Oh,
which is it? Which is it, Colch? Is that a new text? I am replaying this in my mind now.
To me, this all came at the same time, so I was seeing everything.
Okay.
Yeah, when I saw it.
Yeah, there's no end after fishing expedition, and I am replying to this, or I'm replaying this in my mind.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay. Yeah. Go ahead, Colby. I'm sorry.
No, I just wanted to ask, Coach. I mean, when you ask a question so directly and you're feeling like your credibility is at stake because you gave this person a second chance, I'm sure the last thing you're looking for is like an equivocating non-answer to a direct question of, please tell me this wasn't you. So I guess I'm just wondering, as you read that, what were you feeling?
I felt like shit, dude, to be honest. Like, I don't know. People have strong feelings about Dives. Like they just do, even before the Steve stuff happened. And then me choosing to kind of like, stick with him and like, you know what, I'd like to see him come back and I'm willing to put my neck out there for him. And that's what I felt like. I put my neck out there for you. And then this happens. And I look like shit. I do. Like without a doubt. And I have to own that, which sucks. But so I just was hoping. I was hoping there was any chance it was a no, and he would just respond, "No, that's not me." But we got this runaround.
How long before the next text that he sent? By the way, all the next texts are sent by Dives to you, Cultural Hall, right? You don't.
Yeah, I think these are all like. No. I saw these all together. Like when I looked at my phone, they had all been sent.
They had all accumulated. Yeah. Okay.
But they're all like a minute or 2 minutes after each other. So it was a cluster that he sent.
Can I ask you, are you okay right now, Dives?
Dives.
Not Dives, Colch.
Oh, yeah. I'm good.
I could ask the same thing of Dives since I expect he's watching, but not interested.
By the way,
I'm more interested in you and how you're doing, Colch.
He definitely is. I'm
good. It's just, I just felt shitty, just because I stuck up for the guy. I vouched for him essentially, and that not even a week later, I'm getting, I'm paying for it.
Are you paying for it? I hope you're not paying for it.
Well, I mean, nobody's made me pay for it, but this is the first people are hearing about it, and I assume people, once this kind of came out and people are assuming who it is, they're like, "Ooh, he was on Colch's show last week," and that just by association, there's
well, it's a credit to you that you're here tonight to talk about this and, show the emails. We wouldn't have these, text messages. We wouldn't have these without your cooperation.
Plus, Colch, I hear you've got a really good guest next week, Colch. That's what I've heard.
I do. He's a nitpicking psychotic lawyer, and it's not RFM. It's the other nitpicking psychotic lawyer below him.
Flannel wearing nitpicking.
The non-lunatic lawyer.
But we're going to be talking about this nitpicking psychotic lawyer, so.
I don't want to lead the witness, but Colch, it seems like from what you're saying that you're picking up the same thing all of us pick up when we read this first response, which is he has a chance to say, no, this isn't me. And in almost 1,000 words, he does anything but answer your question.
He says, I'm not going to answer the question.
Yeah.
I'm not giving NBR any more oxygen in my life. I'm going to people won't let it go. I want to put it behind me. I'm not answering your effing question.
So
And
your gut,
I'm sorry, go ahead, Bill.
Your gut right then is telling you, yep, he did this.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I've observed when Coach sent these to RFM and I observed how a lot of people who are Mormon or even post-Mormon are very uncomfortable with out and out lying, but they're very willing to do this type of weird equivocation where rather than say no, they'll say stuff like, does that seem like the type of thing I would do? Because they're not really lying. It's the same thing that I feel like the church's PR team and the church leaders do all of the time. And so I just have to observe that if my wife were to come to me today and say, honey, are you cheating on me? And I were to say, I am replaying this in my mind and the timeline just doesn't work out. That's not answering the question. And so I when I saw these messages, I was like, this is so damning. To not just be able to answer that question directly is really not good. And it's not personal. Like, I don't have anything personally against Burke. I've been on his show and he is kind of a character, but this is just really unhealthy behavior. And so I think it's important that this is about the behavior. It's not about him personally, for me, at least.
I'll just say one more thing. I'll say one more thing, which is in moments in my life where I was unhealthier and somebody caught me and I'm trying to deflect or dismiss it, there's a urgency to keep saying things because you can't ever say it. You can't ever say it enough to get yourself the real distance you're wanting from what you're being asked. That you just keep going. You just keep saying more and more and more, hoping the next thing will get you out of it, which apparently seems to have happened right here.
Yeah. So a minute later, Dives continues after saying there's also some awkward typos in the email. He goes on, I'm trying to put this behind me. This isn't helping. I'd rather not know whatever plan they have. I'm glad they blocked me. Whatever. Then a couple minutes later in another email, Dive says, yeah, it doesn't make sense because the email references Jim Bennett. This is the gap in the end zone, right? Or in the line, right? And I'm going to head through it to the end zone. Because what he's trying to do is saying, instead of just saying, no, I didn't write it, he's trying to argue with the facts. And the timeline, he's giving a defense, is what he's doing. He says, yeah, it doesn't make sense because the email references Jim Bennett. He's back on Bill having accidentally, inadvertently said that the email was sent back in October when actually it was a month ago. So even though that was an inadvertent statement on Bill's part, it ends up laying a snare, which Bill didn't know he was laying at the time. And I don't think Dives knew he was stepping in. Yeah, it doesn't make sense because the email references Jim Bennett. Jim didn't get involved until a couple of weeks ago. You see, I'm innocent. I'm trying to put this behind me. That's the same thing. Yeah, it doesn't make sense because the email references Jim didn't. I had this whole last thing on here just because I wanted to show you the end of the quote there. That's why it's all replicated. And then I have the descriptor. Is there anything you want to say about that, anybody?
The time entry is going to be important here, RFM. So, and you have it on the slide. So let's make sure and get that out.
Yeah, that's April 22nd. And I did have one that had the actual time on the top of this, and it's somewhere in the slide deck. But it's that's where I copied it from. April 22nd, 2025, which was Tuesday, beginning at 3:52 p.m. Eastern Time.
Which is 1:52 Mountain Time. And I'll just note, by the way, the real Bill Reel misunderstanding the chronology of events has no impact on the actual event as it took place. In other words, by pointing to my misunderstanding of the events, if I was a witness in a courtroom and I came forward and I misunderstood things, but you could clearly establish where things happened and what chronology they're in, that witness could be discarded, but it doesn't change the rest of the facts of the case. But when you need someone else to take the fall by pointing at the witness who has been excused because they're misremembering things or their testimony is violating everyone else's agreement, it's useless. It doesn't really serve a purpose.
This is what we call in the legal field bright, shiny things. This is when the lawyer wants the jury to look at the bright, shiny things over here instead of the things that are actually at issue in the case.
An actual red herring.
An actual red herring. Oh, you're going to have to explain this to me, Bill. This is your work.
I asked Steve Pinecker to send me the original email so that I could grab the data that is in an email that you don't generally see, but you can choose to look at, which has IP addresses and all those kinds of things. I will say this: we've got there are still cybersecurity folks working on this. I hope that we have an update in the future, but at present, the way Gmail works is that it doesn't disclose the IP address of the original person who sent it. But what it does do is it categorizes it sends it to a place in California, and depending on which place in California gets it, dictates which time zone it's most likely to have come from. So this is a tiny piece of evidence in the scheme of things. This should hold very little weight.
So the IP here is actually from California, and all the Gmail gets routed through the main server and then out.
Correct. And so what I was able to gather from this is, first, it's a legitimate Google Mail server, indicates the sender used a Gmail account. You can't determine physical location or originating device of the sender from this header. Gives the timestamp, Eastern Daylight Time.
What was that part at the bottom? Did you want to read that?
Yeah, I can.
If you don't, that's okay.
No, I'm just trying to see sender's local time. I don't think that's pertinent because I don't know what that is. But it was a legitimate email sender, legitimate Google Mail server, Gmail address used, indicates a sender used. This is the same thing. IP address. I'm just trying to find where the important information here is.
Well,
right at the bottom.
Places like.
Yeah, the bottom here. The only concrete location you can trace is the Google Mail server in California, not the human sender's actual location. The timestamp hints the sender might have been in Eastern time. That's the most likely place. But
right,
don't
and it's right here, Bill. Just so you know, it was there on the one before. No personal IP included. I'm right at the top, almost. Yeah. You can't determine physical location or originating device of the sender from this header. Timestamp. You can see the sender's local time if their email client preserves it. This one says Wednesday, 26 March 2025, and then it gives a certain time, suggesting the sender was in Eastern Daylight Time.
Yes.
Which includes places like New York, Florida, etc., as well as Washington, D.C. and Northern Virginia, but they can be spoofed or system set.
Yeah, this is a small piece of evidence, but had it said it was coming from a different time zone, it would have been at least a piece of evidence that would have worked against Burke Sorenson being the author of this. Instead, it actually corresponds with where he's at. By the way, some of the rhetoric in there, I'm using AI to filter this information and tell me what it means. And I use AI for quite a bit of stuff. So it has like a Mormon snarkiness to it in its communication to me. I'm just noting there at the very bottom, the timestamp, but don't bet your tithing on it without more evidence. That's AI's response to me, by the way. So I put my next response to ChatGPT was, so Washington, D.C., a.k.a. Northern Virginia, USA would be one such area this fits. ChatGPT said, yes, exactly. Washington, D.C. is in the Eastern time zone, which is represented in the email header as, and then it gives that information.
YAML.
Yeah, it's just how it codes it, but not a big piece of information. It just corresponds. It's just one more piece of evidence that says, yeah, Burke Sorenson, this all fits him. I then on
oh yes. Yeah, we're getting really close to the present now, folks.
We are. This was a couple of days ago. I don't have the timestamp on this. It says 0 minutes ago, but that's because that's when I sent it.
Well, it's 11:47 a.m. I think it was Wednesday.
Yeah. Yeah, maybe Thursday, maybe yesterday.
Or
but
Tuesday.
I emailed Burke, and I'm giving him a chance to come clean. Like, this goes much better if he owns it before it's shown that he's the one who did it. So I said, I'm reaching out regarding a very serious issue. A fake email account was recently created, using my name and identity. This account was then used to contact at least Steve Pinecker, because we don't know what else is out there. I'm sorry, Steve, I got your name spelled wrong. In a clear attempt to extract information, we have reason to believe this was done with malicious intent and that such may constitute a felony. I'll let you two speak to what the rules are around that. But while I won't disclose everything we've uncovered yet, I will say that some of the digital fingerprints left behind, as well as behavioral patterns and personal context, strongly suggest you may have been behind this. In fact, the evidence is compelling enough that we will be covering this situation in an upcoming podcast episode Friday night. I'm also pursuing this with multiple cybersecurity experts. Before we proceed publicly, I'm offering you a chance to go on the record. If you are involved in any way, whether directly or indirectly, now's the time to come forward and take responsibility. I would rather resolve this in a way that is honest and direct than see it escalate to legal or public consequences. If you're innocent, this is your opportunity to say so and provide any clarifying information. You know how serious this is. You also know what's at stake. I'd encourage you to think carefully and respond accordingly. Bill Reel, Executive Director, And there, of course, is my email address I actually do use. So there's that.
Right. Did you get any response from Dives to your email?
Nope. And I did send a text to him, and I'll show that later. But then today, I mean, we're getting really close, and he's not responding to my email. So I did send him one more text today asking as well, but we'll get to that later. Then I'll just note, again, this piece here is just simply that if you try to play this video, it shows that it was removed by Burke Sorenson, which just makes the connection that we're not exposing who he is. He did that by having these videos removed. And now if you try to play this video, it exposes his name as Burke Sorenson. I already knew that because of the checks that I wrote him, because of the agreement I had in the contract for him to do the shorts back in 2023 as well.
Bill, for the record, you sent that original email to Dives on Wednesday morning.
Okay, thank you.
I know, because you also sent it to me.
Yep, thank you.
And I'm looking it up here.
Perfect.
On my message, and it has a time and date on it.
Sweet. So that's this. Now, I think we're about to go over some of the things we've already said, but also
can we just say then, in brief, then, that you sent a follow-up email to Dives this morning to give him a second chance, having heard nothing from him from your Wednesday morning first email that you read.
Giving the
nothing back from him in response.
Yeah, giving the benefit of the doubt that for whatever reason, he didn't get my email. He's changed email addresses or whatever. I sent him a text message this morning on the phone contact, and I have his phone contact because him and I had a business agreement back in 2023 for him to do those shorts for us.
Okay.
Yeah, and I put this slide together because now we've laid out the chronology, and I know that sometimes it can be tough to keep all the disparate pieces together, right? That's why we had the claymation beginning with the Pepe Sylvia meme, because once we connect all this, so we're going to go through some of the same stuff, but we're going to really try and drive the point home here. And so here is my kind of aggregation of all the things that we know of who sent this fake Bill Reel email. The first is that they're obviously comfortable presenting themselves as someone who they are not, right? The second is that they follow the ex-Mormon podcasting scene very carefully. And what I mean by that is this individual emails Steve only 28 hours after Steve's episode with Jim has released. They also email Steve a few minutes into an episode of Mormonism Live going live, I think, so that Steve cannot reach out to you two to put the pressure on Steve to give them a quick assent to these things for whatever reason they were going to use it for. The email also directly references the Richard Nygren affair episode to build confidence, and that was a fantastic episode that you and Steve did together, Bill. But only about 12,000 people watched it. So it like, all to say, someone who knows of all of these things has to be the person who wrote this email, because they're all mentioned in there. This person also directly references the details of Dives' attacks on Steve, mentioning hurricane survivors, because that was a whole part of it. The weird video makes jokes about people surviving from a hurricane. The fifth is that they reference writing Dives' stake presidency. I think, again, I already touched on this, but I think that's likely to expose some double standard with regard to criticisms of Jacob Hansen's weird behavior towards Julie Hanks. And then the last one is it references me uncovering something unbelievable. And I think since RFM and I have done a few months of kind of semi-regular episodes debunking the Light and Truth Letter series, and also just going after some other apologists, that would build confidence with Steve, who I've also done episodes with separately, because he would know that I might be involved if if RFM and Bill are working on something. Again, that was complete fantasy. I would never do that type of research.
It's another baited hook.
Exactly.
And I think this got Steve a bit too, because that's what he led with when he texted you.
Right. And it was very confusing for me. So then altogether, the motive appears to be getting Steve to agree to doxing behavior, going after someone's family, attempting to get his Dives YouTube channel shut down permanently for bullying and hate speech. So if people are asking, like, what's the motive? To me, that's the motive. It's to somehow get an agreement from Steve to do things that people would find detestable or problematic, and then use that in some weird effort to expose a double standard on the part of people who are friends with Steve, I suppose.
A cunning plan.
If only it had worked.
Yes. All right. So let's go to the next one. Thank you, by the way, for putting that together, Colby. Excellent summation. Now we're back to last Monday, and we put this up here again. Why did we do that, Bill?
Just to note one more time to the audience that everyone, with the exception of Steve Pinecker, Bill Reel, and Colby Reddish, everyone else and the culprit, whoever the person is that created the fake email address, only those 4 people ever saw any more of the email than what is on the screen now. We saw the full email, those 4 people. Everyone else only saw this screenshot and did not see anything else until a late moment, which we'll get to, but which won't explain away the problem. So go ahead.
No. So once again, the text between Cultural Hall and Dives on Tuesday, April 22nd, 2025, when you take a screen grab of the email from the newscast the night before, you send it to Dives and ask him if this is he. And then we go all throughout all that again. And by the way, what he says here in response, this is the line I asked you to mark. There's also some awkward typos in the email. Now, what we're going to see is the funny thing is that there's no awkward typos in the part of the email that was made public on Monday night, but there are at least one prominent awkward typo in the email in the part that wasn't disclosed, and that only who? Bill, Colby, Steve, and the culprit knew?
Yes.
Yep.
Okay. Well, let's see what we have here.
So
this is my little joke.
All right.
Burke's non-answer response reminded me of Joseph Smith's most famous denial. What a thing it is for me to be accused of committing adultery and having 7 wives when I can find only one. Notice how he doesn't answer the question.
Right. And that's his non-answer answer. He doesn't want to be put on the spot. Now, again, whoever the culprit is, they don't know what the evidence is against them. They don't know how far those who had the infraction committed against them are willing to take it legally. So the best thing that person can do in their own interest is not to answer any questions. And so this is his non-answer answer, which on some level indicates guilt to begin with.
Okay, so let's talk about awkward misspellings, all right? Did you want to say something about this, Bill, before we go on?
I don't think we need that, other than just to note again that the email address.
timeline.
Oh, the what's important here is the email that the person does use is Bill Reel MD Mormon Discussion at gmail.com. They understood easily Mormon Discussion, make it an MD. Maybe seems like a small point, but we'll see here in a moment. We'll let you be the judge.
Right. I never say MD about Mormon Discussions. I mean, there's sort of an association, an unfortunate association with it of muscular dystrophy. And so I've never said, I always say Mormon Discussions. I don't abbreviate it. And I don't know anyone who does. Perhaps, surely there must be some people out there who do that.
Yeah. But it's a small group, right?
Yeah, I would think so. So the email used by the person was BillReelMD at gmail.com. Obviously, not because of your degree in medicine, but because of Mormon Discussions. Oh, here we've got a little bit of a clip. We're gonna risk a little bit of a clip, which is a montage. Who put this together? Colch, raising your hand sheepishly in the back row. Yeah. So this is recently and interestingly, we've actually located somebody who refers to Mormon discussions as MD on a regular basis.
Yeah, here we go.
And I've noticed something else about MD that I find disconcerting. Once people leave the platform, they rarely come back. Renee Steelman, she became visible. She hasn't been back on since she left MD. Why does leaving MD seem to create such hard feelings?
I don't know, but thank you for giving us 3 MDs in a row.
There we go. There's, again, not our strongest piece of evidence tonight, but interesting.
It's very interesting.
Interesting.
This is the chain I forged in life, Ebenezer. Link by link and yard by freaking yard.
So there's that. All right, let me put this back up on the screen.
I got the reference, RFM.
Thank you.
You just wanted to note, RFM, that you were seeing some strange comments showing up on the
yes
episode today.
It was amazing. You've had this advertised the show, right?
Yeah.
We started getting comments this morning, over 8 hours before the show started tonight, where we got 2 comments that got pointed out to me by somebody who doesn't want me to mention her name, but they're there unless they got taken down, and some more have showed up. And there's a whole lot of people, several people, I should say. There's several people whose names I've never seen before in the live chat, who all of a sudden have a lot to say, which sounds quirkily similar to, I don't know, the prime suspect. So this person called Cole Strong, KOHL Strong, says, "Oh, thank goodness. This must explain Bill's absurd political takes." I can't imagine, Dives saying those words. And even more similar to Dives is this person called Intensive Porpoises, who writes, "Do you mean to tell me Bill isn't a Nigerian prince who needs my help to obtain access to $10 million held at BNP Paribas?" Yeah. Okay. I'm sure it's all just a coincidence. But the moon was full like a week ago.
For the record, we do get a few comments before the show starts, immediately before the show starts.
Right. When the regular crowd shuffles in.
We almost never get any comments while the show is been set to stream, but hasn't yet. Days beforehand, there's just never comments on it. So
not unless it's Chief Mitiga threatening legal action against me.
Right, that's the exception. So there's that.
And this is you, Colby? Did you put this together?
Yeah, I think I already pointed this out, but this is, again, just reminding people, I feel like this is a pretty strong piece of evidence, just showing kind of Burke's weird sense of humor, where he says that this is the screenshot that I sent to Steve of that video that Dives had done of Exmo Joe, and where he comments on a video where he's compiling stuff about Exmo Joe, that he's talking specifically about getting his own channel taken off of YouTube as hate speech, and we can see that same reference in the email. So this is, again, I think, not absolute conclusive proof, but really strong evidence, again, mentioning hate speech, bullying, getting a YouTube channel pulled down.
Very good. Oh, I'm sorry, Bill.
It's okay. Yep. So I'll just note here.
Take the wheel.
Yeah, and I'm sorry. I'll just note here, we'll get to it in a moment, why that's important about this email. We've kind of hinted at it already.
Oh, yes.
But you posted the full email on the Radio Free Mormon Facebook page. And
I did on Tuesday.
It would be plausible to go, maybe that's where Dives got the information.
Of course, you read it off my Facebook page.
Maybe, except that Kulch sent you the full email. Not Kulch. Am I saying that right?
I think Colby.
Colby. Sorry.
Yeah,
Colby
I was the only one who had the email. Yep.
Colby sent you the full email.
Yeah.
After he learned that Dives had told Kulch about the awkward typos. So we can show that. So the awkward typos comment comes at 3:52 Eastern time, 1:52 p.m. Mountain time. I don't have the day here. I should have had that, but this would have been
Tuesday.
Tuesday. So Tuesday.
Sorry.
And then later in the day, so Colby learns that Kulch has learned that that Dives is claiming that there's awkward typos in there. You talk to Colby. Colby then sends RFM the full email, and then you posted it, and your timestamp there is in the top left corner, Tuesday, April 22nd at 5:07 p.m. Your time, which is Pacific.
Yes.
Yes, which would be
4:07. I'm earlier than you.
Oh, sorry, 4:07 Mountain Time. Yep. Thank you.
Mhm.
So nope. Colby sent RFM at 3:15 Mountain the full email after he noticed Burke Sorenson acknowledging awkward typos that he shouldn't have known about. Tuesday, April 22nd, 2025, 5:07 Mountain Time is when you posted the full emails. So the awkward typos comment came before this. That's the important.
To really drive this home,
Mhm.
the only people who had access to the full email when he makes that comment are me and Steve Pinecker, because Bill, you hadn't even seen it yet, correct?
I don't know, because I definitely asked Pinecker for him to forward it to me. I don't know what day I got it, but let's even assume that I have it as well. And
even if you have, it's you, me, and Pinecker are the only people who have access to it when whoever authored this fake email on behalf of fake Bill Real sent, I'm sorry, actually, when Dives makes this comment about awkward typos, only 3 people plus the culprit know about the full email. Me, Bill, and Steve.
Yep. And so looking at the mistakes, by the way, the bottom one there, Best Bill, is just me wanting to note again that I never sign an email that way. But in the email itself, all of the mistakes are noted with red marks. In the very beginning, there's the word, a single letter though, A. So do a Mormonism live episode. So there's an A missing.
Yeah, that's not awkward.
At the very end of the third section, there's a period missing after big. Not really awkward either. There's a capital T missing for these.
Well, you don't need it because he dropped the period on the preceding sentence.
So it's a continuation, which now has Brian Hales thinking this is an ancient document.
Brian, get Brian on the line.
Or
So-
Joseph Smith with the run-on sentence.
In section 2, and he does this in several other places too, in section 4 and section 5, he puts Dives, which naturally has an S on the end. So now when you show ownership, you only need to put the apostrophe.
Can I say something? This
Yeah.
is something that Rebecca had done, and anyway. Bless her for doing this. This was a variation, and now it's become accepted. Like Jesus, you would put apostrophe at the end of the S. When I was growing up, that's how you show possession. Now, the people who don't know how to do it right have become the majority. And so now it's become accepted to do it wrong. And this is the wrong way, which has now become accepted.
Yeah.
Is to do the S apostrophe S.
That will not happen to the typo of my name, though. Say it right.
Yeah. Then you've got Colby's name spelled wrong.
How is it spelled?
Kolby. You know.
No, I mean, how is it spelled here?
Oh, Cobley.
Yeah, Kobly, just like you have it up there under your picture. What Cobley Reddish uncovered is unbelievable. By the way, there's only one awkward typo in this whole thing, and it's Colby's name.
And then there's the word "are" missing from "you are on board." So he's got a word not capitalized, 2 parts where a word is missing, and he's got a awkward misspelling of someone's name there. And so again, the awkward typos. But if we split, okay, again, there's only that screenshot was all that was seen.
And if you want to go back to that for just a second, Bill, we're almost at the end of the slides, folks. You'll see it ends. This is all that was shown and all that was known, except for those people previously mentioned. It ends with working out the details.
Working out the
second
details.
paragraph.
Yep. And so when we put the full email up and draw a line at where everyone would have seen and then what was not known, there's one little tiny missing of the word, a single letter A missing. All the other things that could be considered typos are at the bottom, and the awkward typo is at the bottom. When Burke notes awkward typos, plural, it seems like it would have to be this bottom section of the email that he's referencing. And he didn't pick up on the fact that only the very first part of the email was shared with the worldwide audience of whoever chose to watch that episode.
Yes. So my question to Dives would be, how did you know there were awkward misspellings in the email that you didn't send and didn't have access to the part with the awkward misspellings in it.
Yeah. Yep. So this would be the smoking gun, folks.
We got smoking guns all along the way. This is a firing range of smoking guns.
To have typos be plural, you have to know about the bottom portion of the email. To have an awkward typo, you have to know about the bottom portion of the email. It's the only way you would know.
I feel great because I'm one of the few people here who's not a suspect.
Yeah.
Me and Colch, we didn't have this. We didn't know about the rest of the email.
So there's that.
This is funny. Whose idea was this?
I always think of this Scooby-Doo meme when you uncover somebody, and again, it's not just that every piece of evidence, and including, by the way, somebody noted him in the last 24 to 48 hours getting rid of videos, making
copyright striking Steve
Heinecker
to take down the video that Dives made back in October.
That's an additional evidence as well. And every piece of the evidence points to Dives Lazarus, Burke Sorenson, being the author of the fake Bill Real account, to the vernacular that he uses, to the use of MD, the deleting of stuff, the awkward typos, the past history of presenting himself as if he's an outsider, shining a light on someone else, and then assuming essentially a false identity or distancing himself from an accurate identity are all traits that he keeps doing.
Oh yeah, and his history of being a general dick to people.
Yeah. And it may seem harmless because Steve didn't bite and Steve didn't say anything wrong and Steve said the right thing. But I'd love for the two of you who work in this area of law to at least speak about how serious it is to present yourself as someone else. Do you guys want to say anything about that?
Well, there's a statute in the state of Washington. I know that Washington doesn't have venue, but I know the law here better than other states and federally. Yeah, this in Washington would be a felony.
Yeah, I mean, I think the other thing is one of the reasons I'm so bothered by the way I was brought into the email by whomever authored it. I think we have pretty clear, I think almost definitive smoking gun evidence of who it is. The way they mention that is like that they're representing that I would be comfortable doing research about somebody's family and like doxing somebody's family and kids. There's a word in the law, RFM, for when you make allegations of fact about someone that are demonstrably false or with reckless disregard for the truth. What's that? What's
being
that
a dick.
term?
Being a dick. Were you thinking of something else?
Something else.
Being
or
a dick
defamation?
is a colloquial term. I was thinking
defamation?
of defamation. Yeah.
Okay. I knew it started with a D.
Yeah. I'll say that's one of the reasons I take this seriously is like really all you have in this space is like your word and your integrity. And if people are going to impersonate people to in some misguided attempt to think they're going to expose some double standard on behalf of Steve or other people, this is just really unhealthy behavior. I don't care who is doing it. I would say the same thing about anybody doing this. Again, this isn't personal. This is just gross. Like people need to be better than this. This is weird behavior.
I'll just say this. I've spoken directly to you, Burke, several times, and I've noted that the way in which you conduct yourself, you don't seem to recognize where the healthy line is. There's a place where it's funny, and then there's a place where it crosses ethical boundaries. And it's about a half dozen times now where you've crossed lines that are very clear to me that they are crossing lines. Everyone else in our community notes that it feels to them like you're crossing lines, and you seem not to be able to pick up on it. And I think there's two explanations for that. One can be something like autism, for instance, where you can't pick up on social cues. And that's an innocent explanation. In other words, nobody should be faulted for not being able to have their brain pick up on social cues. And so, but you've been warned so many times at this point that you're not backing down from doing it. That's one option. The only other option I see is that you really are a deeply unhealthy person inside, and that you don't have any care or concern for how you conduct yourself. And one of those, I'm willing to give you a break, but that would require you to be accountable and to acknowledge that barrier that keeps you from being able to do it. And it also would lead to you stopping doing it now. Otherwise, I'm only left with the other alternative, which is, as other people here said, is that you're a dick. So you have a choice tonight to stop doing that and to apologize either way. And if you don't apologize, you don't have to do it. You can do whatever you want to do. But if you don't, it clearly indicates what the real problem is. It's not that your brain doesn't pick up on social cues. It's something else that's going on.
The only thing I would say here has to do with the evidence, which is when you have 6 or 7 plot points, data points, right? And they all line up in a direct line and they're all pointing at one person, then you've got a case.
Yes. And I want to say one more thing. And I said this to you guys earlier, and I saved it for the end because we sort of did various things through the show where I could have probably put this in. But every year before the NFL season starts, every team has the odds that they'll win the Super Bowl. And let's just, as an example, let's just say it's the San Francisco 49ers, that they are.
It's the Bengals.
Let's say it's the Bengals. They're 8-1 odds. They're 8-1 odds to win the Super Bowl. And everybody else is less than that. 12-1, 14-1. The Cleveland Browns are 192 to whatever it is. 2,000 to 1, whatever it is. Before we presented anything, just seeing the original email would have had everyone going, we can't prove it's Burke by that alone. But if Bill didn't do that email, and that's not his email address, then the most likely candidate here is that it's Dives Lazarus / Burke Sorenson. And then we do the show and we add in every layer of the evidence, which also points to him. And every single road here is leading to Rome.
Where the Pope just passed away. I understand.
He did.
All right. So everybody light a candle, say some prayers. And that's all we have for tonight. Now, does anybody else want to say anything before I lead us out of here and we take off? Yes, please. Colt, you've raised your hand.
Yeah, I do. Listen, I understand the vitriol and the way people feel about Dives. I totally understand where Steve's coming from. Bill, you have every right to be upset with him if this was him. And like you said, all signs seem to point to it to being him. That's kind of where I am. So I am, I just had him on my show recently, but I am going to be disassociating from him. It's fool me once, shame on you. Fool me twice, shame on me. So I've been fooled enough. I think deep down, he's probably a good guy. I've had nothing but decent experiences with Dives, so I know he can be a decent person. I don't want anything bad to happen to him. I don't want people to attack him or go after him. I would hope people just kind of give him space, and hopefully he is able to process this and take the steps that he needs to. I encouraged him to be very upfront and apologetic with Steve when everything went down. That's the only way to deal with this, is to own it, to apologize. So I just, he's going to see this and he may think that I'm stabbing him in the back, but it's just the behaviors to a point that I can't be associated with it. I can't.
Do we want to take phone calls at all?
I don't, but
okay.
I think this is a standalone show. I don't need Dives in any of his numerous, impersonations to call in.
Yeah.
But we can. What the heck? Why don't you go ahead and do it? What?
He's not going to call.
He's not going to call.
Someone who goes to this level of deception is not going to take accountability.
Okay, well, we'll see if you're right. Open the phone lines.
The phone lines are open. You can call 662-667-6667. Yep. Or
my favorite part.
Mormons. And we can give folks, we'll take 3 phone calls if anybody does want to call in. I'm going to mute myself for a second. You guys can chat for a minute. I just need to initiate the phone call into the call-in studio. So, but people can call in now. I just need to connect myself to it.
Colch, I know it's just hit midnight over there in Florida, right?
Yeah, it did just now.
Do you still want to be up?
I'm good, dude. I'm amped. When I finish my shows and my after show, it's like 1:30 in the morning. I can't sleep for an hour. This stuff gets me jazzed, so I'm good.
I know the feeling. It's better than meth.
I've never had meth, so I can't compare.
I had some free meth on Easter Sunday. It was at the Free Methodist Church.
There you go.
I go on like this all night while Bill's doing stuff.
Yeah, well, I've got the thing all set up. I'll just know he can change his behavior immediately, apologize to the folks he's harmed, the folks that he's done this towards, and he can move on. This isn't something, I think in most of these kinds of instances, I'm not looking to punish somebody for the rest of their life. I don't feel like you guys are looking to punish somebody for the rust of their life, but
that's too much trouble, really.
But you got to be accountable. You got to own it when you do things like that. So, there was one other thing.
Oh no, you're not going to play the clip that shows him to be an absolute hypocrite, a truly vile and despicable hypocrite.
Yeah, actually, I do want to play this because this is his words. I do. So let me take this off.
Oh, I can't look.
That's the fundamental difference between MD and me. When I mess up, whether it's intentional or not, I try to take accountability. I acknowledge harm and I try to make things right.
Yep. That's what he said.
Well, time to put up or shut up, Dives.
If empty claims worked on me, I would have stayed in the church.
Yeah. Zing.
All right, we do have a couple of calls, so I'm gonna take those. There are 2 calls in the call-in queue. If
we'll probably have the Porch Time boys on the line. They're really excited about this show, I think.
Let's find out. So, caller, what's the name?
Dives Lazarus.
Very good.
I know who this is. What's up, Jared?
I wanted to
is it Jared?
I just call in to what? No, this is Dives Lazarus. I just wanted to call in to apologize for my abhorrent behavior and just tell you that you're all wrong, basically.
Well, thank you.
Those things seem contradictory, but okay.
I think we've got a fake Dives on the show.
A little bit contradictory. You're probably right about that. It's a little bit contradictory, but
you got the laugh down.
That's what I do.
It's almost as annoying as Paul Lind.
Yeah, that's about all I got down.
Okay.
No, it's I actually can't do it anymore. I really tried.
You did.
When you do an impersonation,
you were good last night, Jared. You were doing the laugh on your show last night. Really good.
I watched that this afternoon. That's therapy.
Anything else you want to say about it, my friend?
An impersonation? No, not
what
really.
Do you think this is Dives?
You get really annoyed with yourself.
Dives, do you think this is you?
Do you think
it's you who's the fake Bill?
Yes. Actually, everybody I've pointed this out to, everybody I've shown that, like even my wife, I showed the fake email to, and she's like, "That's Dives, right?"
Yeah, this is you.
Definitely,
this is totally you.
like immediately.
Hey, I'll tell you this.
Yeah.
Using the collective witness model, even Jacob Hansen figured it out. So.
Wow. I'm glad we had to open the phone lines. Think of all the fun we'd be missing.
Yeah. Well, thank you. Thank you, my friend. Thank you for the call.
Goodbye. Yeah. Now repent and sin no more.
Bye, Jared.
Yeah.
All right. Here is this might be a Rhett. Rhett, is that the name?
Rhett. Oh, Rhett.
Yeah.
All right, my friend. You're on a special episode of Mormonism Live / Mormonism After Dark.
Yeah, I always enjoy your show. I think y'all made a very good case tonight. And on who it is, I'm glad it's not Jacob Hansen, because that's who I was suspecting when y'all did the preview on your last episode. Yeah. But
even I had to admit in the comments, because Jacob was in the comments, Rhett, that even he isn't this pathetic.
No, he's not. And that's saying something.
I know. So let the word go forth from here. Jacob Hansen is not as pathetic as Dives.
All right. Well, thank you, Rhett.
Rhett, would you convict?
And I'm going to unsubscribe from Dives as soon as I get off the phone.
You do whatever you want, however the spirit moves you. We're not trying to get anybody to take any particular action. I want to make that clear.
Oh, I know. No,
Okay.
but I just, you know, it's just not cool what he did. So,
And if you could throw a brick at his head when he's not looking, I'd appreciate it. So we're not trying to influence anybody.
If I lived in Virginia, but I don't.
You do not have a car?
That's it. Thank you, guys. I always enjoy it.
Thanks, Red. All you need is a car and a brick. The highway's already there.
Okay.
All right. Thank you.
Take it easy.
Bye.
And those were the only 2 calls. Nobody else is in the queue. So,
Wow.
we
Wow.
can end it
That
there.
was worth it for Jared's
All
call.
of their houses. Those are the only 2 he hasn't gotten to yet.
Yeah.
I was talking to Bill this morning when we were having our conclave about the show, and I said, "You know what Dives is doing right now?" He says, "What?" He says, "He's trying to figure out if there's some way he can take down the entire YouTube platform before tonight." Didn't happen. All right. Thank you, Colby. Thank you, Colts. Thank you, the real Bill Real. And thank you, Steve, over there in Florida, watching, drinking a beer, getting hammered on the couch. I hope you're enjoying the show too. I hope you're enjoying the show as well, Dives. And, you know, this has been a great show. It's been unusual, but sometimes unusual things happen, and we've got to respond to them as quickly as we can, and we did so tonight. Everybody, have a great weekend, including you, Dives. And we'll see you on Monday on the Mormon Newscast. And maybe we'll have some more news to report on this issue. We'll see what happens over the weekend. Until then, good night, everybody. And it's been a great time. See you later.